Hello there, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for coming. I'm glad you're here and I hope you stay till the end. Please subscribe to my channel and like this video if you want to see more like this and other types of videos from me. Thank you again so much and let's get into the video. The title of today's video is called My Scholarship Journey. So to give you all a background, I finished high school in 2015. And towards the end of our high school, we were all required to fill some forms, which if you got the necessary amount of points, grade points, you were eligible to get a scholarship, a full government scholarship to go to university for free. University or college, depending on your grades. Now, I didn't get the best points, I was above average, but not good enough for university, But I did get a scholarship to go to a college for a diploma, a 2-year college diploma, and I did that. I was grateful because that meant going to school for 2 years and not having to pay all those millions of shillings, so that was good. And so towards the end of my diploma, I had a friend who was a senior, so he finished college in 2017 and I finished in 2018. So after he finished there in 2017, he applied for the global scholarship. I hadn't known of those, where you go to school, they pay for your airfare, air ticket, visa, they give you a monthly stipend, stuff like that. I had never heard of that, I think. And when I heard that that friend had gotten the scholarship to go to South Korea, I realized, I got, ambitious and I wanted to get a university degree too, a bachelor's, And I knew that if I get a scholarship like that, then I would go to school for free and I not have to bother my parents for money, because I knew I wanted to get a degree, but I wasn't going to ask my mother, my parents for money or anybody. So I decided after my college diploma, I was also going to apply. And I did apply, but I think I wasn't good enough, or maybe because it was only 2 quotas from Uganda and there are many people with better grades than me, So I didn't get past the first round of selection. I was devastated because I was kind of sure. I don't know why I thought it was a sure thing, but I did, and I was devastated when I didn't get in. And keep in mind all the time and, all the hours I had to walk up and down, trying to get all the necessary forms and stuff like that. It was very, devastating. I was shattered that I didn't get in, but it was okay. I swallowed that pill and moved on. So during that time, towards the end of 2018, a friend introduced me to another scholarship, another, kind of scholarship like that where I didn't have to pay anything, and it was to Brunei Darussalam. So I applied to that too, but for that one I was a bit smarter. I didn't apply to only that. So while I was applying to Brunei Darussalam government scholarship, I also I wanted to apply to the Turkey Scholarship, International University of Africa in Khartoum, and even the Islamic Online University. But all those, I didn't apply to any of those, but I had applied to something else, So while I was wandering the streets of IU, I found a professor who when I told him my problems, he said he knew of some scholarships that come, He said that scholarships are always there, we just have to look for them. So I gave him my papers, my transcripts and all that stuff, and he said he would help me look for scholarships, But I didn't think much of that because, again, I was kind of sure that maybe I would get the Brunei Darussalam scholarship. So I didn't think about the papers that I gave to the professor. And bad news, I didn't get into Brunei Darussalam. And when that fell through too, I kind of lost hope for a minute there. I was afraid the professor might not come up with anything, and I was afraid I was going to lose a year. And I really wanted to get through school and, get done with that, So one day around March, April of 2019, I got an email and I got the call from the professor that I had got us admitted to a university in Indonesia. Man, that was the best news I had got in months, if not in years. I was happy. I was hyped. I don't even know how to describe my emotions at that moment. I was very happy. Oh, I was going to Indonesia. I was going to get on the plane, So I started preparing for my journey, for my sojourn to Indonesia. Preparations were included having to get a visa, and that so I got some bad news that while I was going to attend school for free, I had to pay for my visa and air ticket to Indonesia. That was a bummer because I didn't have any money. I didn't want to. My parents didn't have any money, and we had to go through other loans, So, but I didn't give up. That's the thing. I didn't give up. I knew we had to get that money one way or another. Of course, in legal means, no haram stuff. So I talked to my mother, and my mother talked to someone, These things, mostly it's, you have to know someone who knows someone who knows someone. Sometimes, most of the times, that's how it is, at least in my country. And so we talked to someone who talked to someone, and we started looking for the funds. And we did get the funds, because that was a very good scholarship to pass up. It was too good to pass up, 4 years of university, not paying a dime, So airfare and visa, I think those were sacrifices that could be made, We could afford to make those sacrifices for the better good. And we got the money for the visa and air ticket. So with that, I went to Kenya to get my visa because the Indonesian embassy is in Kenya. In Uganda, we only have a consulate, and I would have to apply through the consulate, and the consulate would have to send the papers to Kenya. That looked like too much work and too much time, So I went to Kenya myself. I went alone. That was my first solo journey, and I enjoyed it. It was by bus, crossed the border for the first time. Yeah, it was a good journey there, and I stayed there for 3 days until I got my visa. Then I came back and we started making, preparations for my takeoff, for my flight, for my journey to Indonesia, Started making goodbyes, saying goodbyes to everyone. And when I got to the airport, presenting my passport and my visa, turns out I had the wrong visa or the wrong air ticket. It turns out the visa that I got was a visiting visa. And if you have a visiting visa, you have to have a return ticket, not a one-way. Because if you're visiting, then you must be sure to come back. So all the people I had said goodbye to, I had to come back and look at them, and they would look at me. I was so embarrassed, But in everything all through that, I knew that I would go, I would go, and I would go when my time came. So I had to endure it all. So I came back and I told the people who had gotten me the air ticket. I talked to them and I told them that what no problems had arisen, and they said, okay, we would find some more money, add on and get a return ticket. And thank God, Alhamdulillah, we found the money for the new ticket. We just had to add on some money, And so we did that, and I got my return air ticket. So I went back to the airport and I kept praying all the time. Praying, Ya Rab, Ya Allah, please don't let them send me back again. Because it was kind of, I don't know, shattering, being so excited for this journey and then reaching the airport and they send you back with your suitcase. But thank God that time didn't have to go back. I got on the plane. I was so happy. I was so relieved, and my flight took off. Now, because this was money that we were, collecting, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going abroad. Here's some money, take it. We were looking for money from different places. So we had to get the cheapest flight possible, and that meant having so many transits. We had, I think, 4 transits, and that journey took me almost 3 days from Uganda to Indonesia to my university. So here's how the journey went. I went from Uganda to Ethiopia and I stayed there for like 2 hours, and my international flight from Ethiopia took off at around 11 p.m. and we took off to Bangkok, Thailand. And that journey took almost 17 or 19 hours. And when I reached there, we had to take another flight to Jakarta, Indonesia, where I had to spend the night, and then in the next morning board another plane to my city, the city where my university is. Man, those were almost 3 days in air, but actually I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it at all. I just, fly. It was my first time, so everything was a novelty, everything was exciting, I was excited to get through everything like that. And so when I reached something I have to tell you, when I reached in Jakarta and I had to spend the night, I realized that if I book a hotel, I didn't have enough money because something else, I didn't know if my university was going to give me a monthly stipend. The only thing I was sure of was the tuition and accommodation. So I didn't know because we weren't given enough information about my scholarship. So to be honest, it was all like taking a leap of faith, because at one time my brother asked me, so what if you get there and you're not going to get a monthly stipend or, living cost? What are you going to do? Because I couldn't work being on a student's visa. I couldn't work. So he asked, what are you going to do then? And all I said was, it will be fine. Everything will be fine. And when he asked that, I knew I wasn't going to ask him for a dime, Even if my university didn't give me any money, I knew I wasn't going to ask my brother for any money. I would get a job or anything, but, So I only had $100 with me when I came from Uganda. I thought that wasn't, a lot of money. Turns out it's not. $100. And when I reached the airport, I knew I wouldn't spend it on, a hotel room. The airport was pretty big, so I said, why not just, wander around until morning? So I did that. I just walked around the airport, walked here and there, until it was time for my flight to my city. I don't know how I did it, but hey, I did it. So the next morning, my flight took off to Pekanbaru, and when I reached the airport at Pekanbaru, I looked for my luggage and it wasn't there. I didn't have my luggage. I think it had gotten on the wrong flight somewhere else. And that's where all my clothes were. In my carry-on bag, I only had like two changes of clothes, All my other clothes, my stuff, my everything was in the suitcase. And I realized I was in for it. Another setback. So I used my $100 to, just buy some of the stuff that I needed. I didn't have to buy new clothes. I did actually buy 2 clothes, I think. Yeah, which took me through the week because my luggage was lost for a week. But after that, I did get it, and the airport was so kind. They gave me like a reimbursement or compensation fee. They gave me some money, for my troubles. And I was happy. I replaced the money I used to buy clothes, and so that was that. And I finally got to the university. I got to my hostel and everything was good. So that was my journey up until then. September 4th or 6th of 2019. That was that. So, and I'm not telling you these stories, to complain or anything. It's only because I'm proud of myself for how far I've come. I got here despite going through all that. I got through all those setbacks and I came out only stronger. And we can't just give up because of one setback. Or imagine if I had just given up after the GKS year, the Korean failure, and be here right now, would I now? And I don't know where I would be. That goes to tell you that keep at it. If you fail once, get up and the only true failure is when you give up, from your mistakes. Now, I did learn from my mistakes not to put all my eggs in one basket, and that it's good to have choices, and I would that mistake again. So, my scholarship journey, alhamdulillah, got through it, and I'm here. Now, I'm almost done with my studies. Where my next journey is, I'll see where next. So, for listening to me, if you're here to thank you very much, I appreciate it. And if you can relate to some of my stories, you can comment down below. If you have criticism or anything you would like to say to me, just comment it down below and I'll be sure to reply. Thank you so much, channel, and bye bye.